In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a histogram. And so typically when we're doing a histogram, we're looking at describing the frequency of scores occurring. So within a variable that we might have a collection of scores, we want to report the frequency of how many people scored between 70 and 75 and 81 and 85. And so this will allow us to create a graphical representation of the frequency of certain scores. And we think of this, we're typically thinking of a bell curve is a histogram that shows the height of each bar is the frequency of each score occurring or range of scores occurring, and it will then develop kind of a profile of how the scores within a variable are distributed. So it can be very useful to look at generally the distribution of scores. And so how we create this is we have our data file open. We go to the plots menu, and in this case we're going to select histogram. And so our first step is to choose a variable that we want to create the histogram for. So we're going to use reading variable number 1, which is a score in a reading exam. And then the axis type, referring to the y-axis, which delineates the height of the bars, is going to be the frequency. How many times do certain scores occur? And it's going to create a height in the bar to represent the frequency of scores. And so this is the simplest type of histogram we can create, and this is grouping people solely on the score they received on reading test number 1. So in order to create that, once we've chosen these variables, we click submit, and it's going to create this histogram for us. Now, one of the things that we can do, again, here's the height, the frequency of each of the range of scores occurring. And it'll give us a graphical picture of how these scores are distributed. So you can see kind of the peak of this is scores between 80, 85, and 90, and specifically the score of 87.5 has the highest frequency. So if you hover over a bar, it'll tell you which score represents that bar specifically. So this particular bar, it's 82.5, and this one it's 77.5, and it gives you a frequency as well. So you can drill down a little bit into specifics with this histogram. So this is just everybody, what their score is. Now sometimes you want to filter. In other words, you just want to see the scores of just one specific group. And so what we can do is use filtering to do that. And so once you get to this point, you can click the edit inputs, and you can choose what your filter might be. So you click the add filter button, and then you choose one of your variables to filter out. So let's say we're interested in the scores of females only. And so we can choose sex or gender as our filter, and we say we only want to see the female scores. So we would click that. If we just wanted to see the male scores, we would click that. So typically we're only going to look at 1 or 2 categories of a filter variable that we want to examine. So in this case we want to see what the female score distribution looks like. So once we've chosen that, we click submit, and then we click submit again, and you can see the filter is indicated that we're only looking at reading scores for females. We can click submit, and you can see that the distribution of scores changes because now we're looking only at females. And again, we can do the same thing. We can see the most frequently occurring score is 87.5. That happened 20 times. And so again, this gives us this graphical representation of the scores. Now you can have other types of filters as far as the numbers. So if we wanted to try a different filter, I'm going to remove the sex filter, click on add filter, and let's say we want to filter by favorite color. But we just want to know the people who said their favorite color were blue and green. We want to know their reading score. So we would just click those two, click submit, and then submit again. And it's only showing us the reading scores for people whose favorite color was blue and green. So that's how you can create histograms, and you can play around with the different filters. So you can create a whole new histogram essentially by using filters. You can create one, regardless of any other filtering category, but then you can create a whole new histogram quite easily by using a filter. So if we just wanted to look at male scores, or people that said blue is their favorite color, or people that are in grade 10. We could do that sort of thing. So hopefully you found this useful, and good luck using it in your own research.